Gary, we're on the YouTube and the Blab recording right now. In a second, we'll cut away to the iTunes or the podcast. So say hi out there, YouTube land, Blab land. So you've got your little sportsjunkie.com working down below. I can't get my software to work right.
Hey, just got to spend a little time there. I had someone help me on. Someone on Blab did that for me. Walked me right through it.
I watched you guys. Yeah, I tried to do it, but still not quite there. I sort of had it up, but anyway. So let's get going. A couple of seconds of silence. Welcome to the New Timeline Show. And the New Timeline Show is all on Blab right now. And we have the Sports Junkie, which is Gary Leland, and from the Gary Leland Show. And he's the guy who I saw on Blab. I think it was on Dave Jackson's show. He motivated me so much to really focus into Blab, thinking it's the new thing. So, Gary, thank you for getting me going on Blab. Hopefully it leads to something amazing.
Yeah, this is going to be a big deal, this Blab, I believe. You know, I got into podcasting in 2004 and said it was going to be a big deal. And, 11 years later, it is. I got into Second Life in 2008, said it was going to be a deal, and it wasn't. But I still made a lot of money while I was in there.
What was Second Life? I was deployed during that time.
It was an animated, kind of like animated world. You went into a special browser and you had a character and you could talk to other people from all over the world, and you had property and land and valuables, and I would go in there and build stores and sell stuff and rent property on my land. And yeah, I did real well in there, but it was I don't know how to really describe it, except it was an artificial online world with avatars, and you could talk to other avatars, and you could buy money. Stuff from them.
Make real money? Sell real stuff?
Yeah. I made over a year, maybe $20,000 in there.
That's good. So
yeah,
Gary,
but it didn't last. So I was wrong on that one. So I'm hoping I'm right on this one. So I'm not always right is what I'm saying.
Nothing ever lasts forever. Podcasting is hanging in there, though. And it's really the backbone to your marketing, isn't it? The podcasting?
Yeah. I used to, before podcasting, probably spend about $10,000 a month on Google AdWords.
Wow.
And now I don't spend anything. But I'm going to say it's the backbone, but, it's a little more than that because, I've had 3 million views on YouTube on my videos, which are my podcasts. I just send them out on YouTube also, and I send them out on Vimeo also. And I'm really big into multicasting, I like to call it, taking one piece of content and using it everywhere you can. So while everything I do starts pretty much as a podcast, that podcast gets used in so many ways other than a podcast.
So what's your background? What did you do before you got into podcasting? I know you had a retail store and wallpaper.
Yeah, I have the largest wallpaper store in Texas. I still have that. I don't go in it very much. But I was a salesman all my life. Grew up in sales in high school, and as a kid sold stuff and door-to-door. I was a realtor. I sold all kinds of stuff. I've come from a sales background. I've sold almost everything there is.
All in Texas?
No. I grew up in South Carolina.
Oh, South Carolina. That's a big
island in South Carolina.
Out in the islands?
Yeah, on James Island it was called.
Oh, those are nice areas.
Yeah, it was a real nice area. It's kind of like, there wasn't a whole bunch to do there. And I was working for cable TV, selling cable TV subscriptions back in 79 maybe. And we came out to Texas for 4 months, and we were going to Louisville, Kentucky next. We would go in new markets and open them up and teach people how to go door to door selling cable TV, which wasn't too hard. It was a great job. It was great money, and everybody wanted it. And I had met my wife, and they were going to Louisville, Kentucky. And I said, I think I'll stay here in Texas. There's a lot of jobs here. And I found a job, and then I think I worked there maybe 8 months. It was a great job, but I wanted to do my own deal, and I started a mini blind company going door-to-door selling mini blinds. And I probably at one point in time sold more mini blinds in the state of Texas than any other company. We had like 10 people going door-to-door selling.
What year was that?
That's probably 1980 to 80, probably till 83, 84.
I had some friends that started a mini blind business, I think, in late 2007. All I could think to tell them is, don't do it. That's when the market crashed.
Yeah, when I did it, we would just drive to new neighborhoods because there were so many new neighborhoods being built, and we look for sheets on people's windows. And you couldn't even buy them at Home Depot. They weren't anywhere. I mean, we would go in, make a
Measure 'em.
sale in half an hour, have $500 profit, and people would be thanking us as we walked out the door. And we would Saturday and Sunday we'd go up down the street and make 7, 8 sales. We were renting limos to go out to clubs, going to Europe. We thought it would never end. We were just young kids, my wife and I.
I
We
built
thought it
2
would never end.
subdivisions. I built 2 subdivisions. I've gone through the cycles, and the pool business is the same way. People put in pools, mini blinds coming in, and there's a very lucrative businesses I know doing exactly what you said.
Yeah,
And
we had maybe 10 people, and everybody had their own. In Dallas-Fort Worth's a big area, maybe 6 million people here. So everybody had like their own areas or their own turf that they would sell, and I would get 40% of the profit, and they'd get 60. But I think maybe my 3rd or 4th year into it, my top 3 people, I guess they said, "Why are we giving Gary 40%?" And because I mean, what do you need to get in the mini blind business? A color deck that costs $10. I mean, really face it. So they all went into business for themselves, and I lost like 70% of my business probably, or 60%. So then we rolled that into wallpaper business, because takes a lot more money to get in the wallpaper books. Those books are $100 a piece, and you got to have, I've got like 600 books. So I mean, at $100 a piece. So it's not like you can get in the wallpaper business overnight and compete against me.
It's a little more targeted too. The people you have to find to do wallpaper, isn't it?
Well, we just sell wallpaper. We don't install it.
The interior decorators you want to make contact with.
And then the homeowners, we're on a busy street. They just see us driving by. I mean, in a city of as big as Dallas-Fort Worth is, I think there's only 3 wallpaper stores. So,
wow.
I mean, it's like pretty easy to, get business. There's not a lot of competitors.
That's good. And then you migrated in 2004 into podcasting. Were you doing any other social media prior to that?
No, all I did was work on my websites. I started my first website in '96, a wallpaper website. And by 2004, I had another decorating site, and I had started my sports websites. Mm-hmm. And actually, a kid that worked for me, he ended up working for Google, and now he's in Europe somewhere working for someone. But he was coming home from college at the University of Texas, and he said, "Hey, can I work for you for the college holiday, for the Christmas holidays while I'm home?" And I said, "Sure, come on in. We'll find something to do." And I think the day before he got there for the holidays, I had gotten into sales email that I would get. Had like one paragraph about there's this new technology called podcasting coming up that I think has a lot of possibilities. And I said, "Hey, we need to do something with this podcasting. I don't know what in the hell it is, but we need to get on the ground floor." And by the time the weekend was up, he'd coded and made a complete podcast directory that ended up in 2006 being in Time Magazine's 50 coolest websites. So that was kind of going, well, I was just really thinking of a podcast. I wasn't thinking of the whole directory. And he goes, "Oh, we can do that too."
Yep. You've been around. You're definitely one of the old timers who knows everyone. You have to know all original. How many people are left over from 2004, 5, and 6?
I don't know. They were only like, some people say 50 when I started. I say 100 when I started. I was one of the first 100.
Uh-huh.
But there's a lot of them around though, still, to be honest with you.
Rob Wells, Dave Jackson are a couple I know.
Yeah, there's Paul Cochran, Paul Colligan.
Oh, yeah.
And Cliff Ravenscraft, he started, I think, in 2005, maybe.
Did he start that long ago?
Yeah, he started quite a while ago, I think. 2006 at the latest, but I think it's the last half of 2005. I'll ask him Wednesday, because he'll be on the show next Wednesday, not tomorrow Wednesday.
And it's going to be up on Blab, so we can watch live?
Yeah, it'll be at 2 o'clock Central Time on my channel. Let's see, Paul Colligan, Rob Walsh, and Cliff.
That's going to be so cool to be able to see that and record that. And you're still going to get an iTunes eventually.
Yeah. Well, I'll take the audio and I'll rip it out and I'll throw it into iTunes, and it'll be in iTunes under Today in Podcasting. That's our iTunes account. I'm sure it's still there. I don't think they've deleted it, even though the show hasn't been added in 6 years probably.
Do you have it in Libsyn?
Yeah. But we got
like you're paying your $5
Libsyn for it though.
With Rob still there.
With Rob being on the show, I mean, we have a free Libsyn account for it, I'm sure. I don't know about paying anything for it. I think it's one of the perks of having someone that works at Libsyn on your show.
Well, I like all of you guys. I like. I've had Rob on my show talking politics. How he used to work for a few Democrats during the 2004 election, turned down Obama.
Yeah, he had gosh, what was that senator from North Carolina that ran for president?
Oh yeah. He when he got in trouble, I know his name.
Yeah, they invited me to come out there. There was a dinner. All these people were going to North Carolina for him. I can't remember his name now.
Oh, I know his name. I got to think for a second.
And I couldn't make it, so now that's just all funny. Turns out that guy was not too good of a guy.
Yeah. I want to say Dean. It wasn't Dean. Hey, you're talking about South Carolina. I lived in Tybee Island. I had a beautiful home in Tybee. I split it, built it. That's in Savannah,
right?
Just south of you.
That's an hour and a half away.
I was at Hunter Army Airfield. Used to fly up into South Carolina all the time. Fly the islands, the coastal areas. Beautiful, nice area. As long as there's no hurricanes, which there haven't been in a while. No big hurricanes. So very good.
Yeah, as long as you're okay there. I think that's about an hour and a half south of Charleston. I used to go there for St. Patrick's Day to Savannah every year.
Oh yeah, big parade.
Yeah, big parade.
Yeah, and you're pretty close to us, just on the other side. And Charleston was 100 miles away from Savannah.
I knew it wasn't too far away. But back then, the speed limit was 55 miles an hour, so it probably was 2 hours.
Right, and a 2-lane road. So anyway, Gary, going on, driving forward, where do you see the future now of your business and where you want to go? You're doing really well. You have the retail store. You have another facility where you're doing your podcast and
we have 2 retail stores. We have the wallpaper store, which, like I said, that's the largest wallpaper store in Texas, and that's probably the first website for wallpaper. And then we have the sporting goods store.
Yep, sporting
business actually has a physical store. And then we have the studio we're putting in that. We're just throwing that in the warehouse. It's not even going to be as nice as the one upstairs. It's just going to be a table so I can get out of right now I'm doing them at my desk and everybody's working. And well, you saw today when I was talking to you, people were walking behind me.
Yes. Nice.
Yeah. They're all working, and I'm here doing interviews with people.
Well, you have an agency too. You do have an agency. You do your own marketing.
Yeah. We do our own marketing.
Do you do any traditional marketing like mail or newspaper?
No, I haven't done anything probably since I used to do a lot, but probably in around 2000 or late 90s, I quit doing everything that would be considered conventional marketing. And all my sales reps would come in and go, "Hey, how come you're not advertising with me anymore?" And I'm going, "Gosh, but back then, I could be." That was before there was Google AdWords. There was something that Yahoo owned. I can't think of the name of it, but it's just like Google AdWords. It was Google AdWords probably pretty much killed them. But when the pay-per-click model came out, I was already using the service, and I think I was number one under every name I could think of for a nickel back then.
Yeah, so that worked real well for real estate initially for the small offices.
Yeah. When it was a nickel, it worked great. Now that it's so expensive, it's not quite the same thing. I would still take all the first places if I could get them for a nickel. You can't go too wrong on that. But the softball business was like, I had a bunch of teams, and I started it I already had the websites going. And I said, I'll start this softball website, and I can call it manufacturers, and they'll sell me stuff at wholesale. That was my plan. I can say I'm a website store. And so since I had a shopping cart, I just hooked it up to the wallpaper shopping cart. And I would call people who made like training aids in their garage, like a certain thing to help you catch better or do this better. And I'd put them on the site. And then none of them would sell me direct to big manufacturers, but they would turn me on to distributors, which they really don't have distributors anymore in the sporting good business. They kind of got killed by the internet. And then I looked one day and one month, I said, "Gosh, we did $5,000. And I was totally caught off guard that we did $5,000 worth of business. I said, "Guys," I had 2 or 3 high school kids working for me on my websites. I said, "Forget the wallpaper and decorating stuff. We're going to work on the softball website for a little while." And I promise you, I think I'm correct on this. It's been a while. The next month we did 10,000. The next month we did 20,000. The next month we did 40,000. The next month we did 60,000. And I told my wife, said, "I'm closing this wallpaper business. So you got to decide if you want to come up here and make sure it runs smooth, or else we're closing it, because I'm doing too well to keep doing that wallpaper business." So she goes in there 2 days a week and runs it. And then we kept going to 80,000, 100,000. Just nonstop. So within a year, we went from doing no business to over $100,000 a month. So it was
You have to really know your stuff in softball, though, like you
well,
do.
it turns out we were, I'd like to take a lot of credit on that, but I think it's another one of those right place, right times.
Mhm.
It turns out that I had the first website that was created for girls fast pitch softball, which I didn't know when I created it. Up to that point, everybody bought stuff from baseball websites or men's slow pitch websites, but no one had made one strictly. Now there's a ton of them. But at the time, I was the first. I mean, I can tell you this, Bill, you're on the right track when you get this phone call 3 to 4 times a day. And the phone call would be someone on the other line going, "Oh my gosh, I've never seen a website like this. This is the greatest website I've ever seen in my life. I'm going to tell everyone I know about it." They would just call to tell me that, even if they didn't want to buy anything. So when you get 3 or 4 phone calls like that every day, you're on the right track. So like I said, I think it was just good timing. I mean, I don't think.
What year was that again?
That would be 2000.
2000, right. That sounds like good timing. I didn't really start doing we had a real estate company, we still do, and we paid for a service for our website, which was okay. And we used to manage it, but I didn't start building my own websites till 2004.
We built our first one, like I said, in 96, the wallpaper website. So that was the shopping cart I even used for the softball store for a long time. They'd go to pay for it and say Leland's wallpaper. And then we had, I didn't want a store for the wallpaper. So we had a kind of a warehouse. It was a storefront, but I just used it as a warehouse because it was behind the wallpaper store. And back then we took checks. People would mail in checks. So the address was on the website. And we'd have people knocking on the door, the locked door to the building. And they go, "Is there a softball store in here?" And we go, "Well, yeah, but it's really, really not set up for the public. Can we please come in?" So we'd let them in. It was just everything was in boxes. And then it got so the store was doing $30,000 a month from people knocking on the door.
Yeah.
So we finally I said, "Man, we got to get everything out of the boxes and make this look like a store." So we got it out of the boxes, and we still just have a banner hanging up with our name on it. 15 years later, we still don't have a sign.
It works. You're another thing too, though. Not only the right timing, the right place. You're in the right place. You're in a big metropolitan city. I noticed I moved to Reno because I always wanted to live here after my military from California, and we're a few hours away from Sacramento, but it's not a really big city. So you do limit yourself on the retail side.
Yes, I'm sure. Yeah. But like I said, we never wanted the retail business.
Yeah.
So I'd have been just as happy with that because I didn't want a retail business. I'd been in retail since when I was in high school, I worked retail clothing stores. I mean, I've been in retail most of my life.
Yep. That's good. Hey, you said you're a realtor. Where were you a realtor and for how long?
I was a realtor in South Carolina for maybe 3 or 4 months. I sold a house.
Yeah.
And after I sold the house, I kind of quit. And I get bored with stuff. But I think I had, I don't know if I still do, but when I took my test, you could take a test like that was you had to take it, renew it every year, or you could take a test that was good forever. So I said, I'm going to take the test that's good forever. And I passed it. So I don't know if I could just walk in there and get a realtor license or not. Probably.
Every state is different.
Yeah, probably they have some continuing education or something I haven't done.
Yeah, every state's different. It's tough business.
I enjoyed that too. Like I said, I've sold a lot. I've done phone sales in high school. I worked for Arthur Murray Dance Studio. Mm-hmm. Done phone sales, calling people up, trying to get them to come down for dance lessons so they could try to sell them. So I've sold on everything.
That's a dying business, phone sales, I think, isn't it?
Yes. Phone sales, though, are a unique sale. I mean, the closing you close so differently on a phone sale than you do, an in-home sale, for instance. But, it probably is. It's probably all bots now. Yeah. But, the funny story is that we do for people, we get a lot of credit card salesmen that call us wanting to take over our credit card processing, our machines. And this is a kind of a funny story, I think. One day when one called, I said, "No, the owner is not here." And they go, "Who is it?" And I said, "His name's Sammy Davis." And all the kids laughed. They didn't know who Sammy Davis was. So I showed them. We watched, I pulled it up on YouTube and showed them Sammy Davis. So then we started telling everybody that called. If they said, "Is the owner there?" we'd go, "No," because if they don't know who the owner is, they're selling something. Who is it? It was always Sammy Davis. Now, 5 years later, we get tons of calls for Sammy Davis. So we know if someone calls for Sammy Davis as a salesman, we don't even have to, so now we tell them he's in Thousand Oaks, California, because that's where Sammy Davis is buried.
Right.
So we say, yeah, he's out in California, out in Thousand Oaks. We don't know when he's getting back. And Sammy Davis now gets mail. He gets credit cards. He gets all kinds of stuff because they sell each other that stuff. I guess someone got an owner's name and it went on the list and it got sold. And I mean, we get 5 calls a day for Sammy Davis. And it makes a great way to screen your calls. You automatically know if it's Sammy Davis, it's a salesman. Who else would call for Sammy Davis?
I wish I'd known that trick earlier. We have one company number for California, the main number, and we had design, build, construction, and real estate. And it just gets overwhelmed still today with a lot of calls, even though it's a lot smaller company. I wish I had a name like that. That'd be great.
Yeah, well, just when someone calls and says, who's the owner, start telling them, get a name and just tell them, something that's so obvious. Because the young kids don't know who it is. Right. And most of those people are young kids. You can tell them it's John Wayne. Most of the kids won't know who it is.
It's amazing people don't know John Wayne, but I think enough older folks know John Wayne.
Oh, Sammy they do, Davis. But most of the people that call on the phone are young.
Yeah.
Most of the people doing that job are kids just in college, just getting out of school, and they don't know. Once I've had one person say, "Are you serious?" And I was like going, "Yeah, I'm serious." I said, "Okay." But I bet you could come up with, you could probably say Ronald Reagan, and half those kids wouldn't know who it was.
My full name is William Conrad, so I have a heck of a time online because William Conrad, it's still, from Cannon, the actor, right, still is predominant. So I couldn't use William Conrad. I'm trying to think of somebody. Robert Conrad, maybe.
No, you got to come up with something that's fun, something that you're going, I can't believe they fall for this. Let's say I'm being fun.
Yeah.
Something really like, Mr. Bojangles. I mean, come up with something.
Sammy Davis is pretty good, though. That's a good one.
Yeah, it was good.
Good advice.
And they don't know who he is. They never do. Like, so one person questioned it. And it's been hundreds of people we've told. Like you said, he gets credit cards now. He gets mail. Every day
you can make a virtual site, Sammy Davis, some Facebook site for Sammy Davis.
That would be the thing.
Well, anyway, let's go on to the second part of the show. And this is what it's all about. What I try to do is I try to go in and find out what the life or success principles might be. And I can imagine what yours are. And I've seen them. And I'll go. Do you want to read them off? Do you want me to?
Oh, you can read them. I mean,
okay. The first is work all the time. Don't quit. Just start and finally listen. So let's start with work all the time.
Well, I like to work and I like what I do. So if you like what you do, work isn't really hard work. It's fun work. So I work pretty much all the time. I mean, all my waking time. I'm either on my laptop or on my computer.
What's your day like? What do you do when you get up?
I pull out I grab my iPhone from the side of my bed, my glasses. I come sit on the couch, turn on the news, and start going through my emails first, then my Facebook approvals. I have 450 Facebook groups.
Oh, my.
So I have a lot of approvals after a whole night of letting them add up. So then I pull out the laptop and start working on stuff then while I watch TV. I just say all the time because I hear a lot of people say, oh, I don't have time to do that, but they got time to sit there and watch TV and eat a sandwich. But then they got they need their downtime. Oh, I need that downtime. What do you need? I don't know what you need that downtime for. I don't know what that even means. I just got homework. I need that downtime. I don't know what that even means.
I have a Facebook group called Podcasters Home. You posted on it your new book, your 99-cent book about podcasting, which is a good book. I bought it. Steve Lee bought it. Top podcasters bought it off that site. But you didn't even know you posted it. You do so many out there.
Yeah. I just
wow.
And I have another book, 15th, that will come out with for softball.
The 99-cent books. I got to make a book.
I think we've got 13 of them now. And, I do a lot of little things, and none of the things, well, some things do, but most of the things I do don't make a ton of money, but to add them up, they do real well. And then inside of my book, which in my podcasting world, I don't have as many things circulating in it to make money off of like I do in softball. Like at the end of the podcasting book, there's a section of my resources, and it was my magazine because I do Pottertainment magazine for podcasting, and it was the Gary Leland book.
Is Pottertainment yours?
Yeah, that's mine.
Wow, I didn't know.
Yeah, and I do a podcast magazine and a softball magazine. But in my softball book, the resources is like 4 pages of things people can buy from me. So not only do I make some money, not a lot, 33 cents. I mean, to be precise, on a 99-cent book. But the big value to me is having my resources in there. So people will go to other things I have and maybe they'll buy something there. So the resources is the point. I'm getting paid to give them my links because my books don't take that long to make. I mean, on the 100 podcast tips, 100 podcasters gave me the tips.
Right.
I just had to come up with, we came up with a chapter of podcasts about podcasts, podcast directories, podcast tools. We got podcast histories I asked Todd Cochran if I could use his podcast history. And he said, sure. So I just gave him credit. So it wasn't that complicated of a book to come up with. So that's why it's 99 cents. For 99 cents, it's like one of my softball books is a book of drills. And most people reviewed it. And one person reviewed it as a 3-star. And he goes, well, yeah, could he use pictures? And he put all this stuff. And then at the end of his comment, he goes, but it was only 99 cents. So I guess for 99 cents, it was a pretty good book. And so, I'm kind of going, what do you expect for 99 cents? I mean, I'm not going to give you War and Peace here. I mean, but for 99 cents, it's a big pamphlet, sometimes.
So what's the story between you were one of the early formers of Podcasters Movement, right?
Right.
So how'd you get into that? What's the story behind Podcasters Movement? And you're going to be in Chicago next year, right?
Right. We had the funny thing about Podcast Movement is we decided to do a Kickstarter to
I remember that.
Get our funding. We wanted, I think, we had a big time trying to decide, should we go for 12,000 or 8,000 in our Kickstarter? Because if you don't get all of it, you get nothing.
Right.
So we went for the 8,000. I think we got that in 6 or 7 hours.
I saw that. I actually saw it that day when you did that 2 years ago.
During the month, we got $32,000. So we did real well on the Kickstarter, but that really helped us get it going real quick.
How many people are involved with that?
4.
Myself,
Jared Easley, Dan Franks, and Mitch Todd.
Well, Jared Easley is the one I always come to mind. He seems to be the guy out front on this.
Yeah. I'm the guy in the back who's just like hanging around, really. I don't do much. I don't do much at all.
I guess you're the wrong guy to ask, but how much work is there putting on that conference?
I don't know. I don't do anything. I won't do anything till next July the 1st.
So does Jared Easley do all the work, or who's doing the work?
Dan Franks is the work.
Dan Franks.
I'm not sure what Jared does, and I'm not saying I do anything, and I'm not saying Jared doesn't do anything either. So I'm not knocking. So I don't think there's a knock, but I know what Dan does.
Yeah,
Dan is a machine. That guy is a machine.
There's a lot to it. I mean, I live in Reno where we have a lot of conventions and things of that nature. I really should take advantage of this environment here. But that's amazing. So who are you associated at all with these one-day events? They go out sort of
that's their deal. That's their deal. We do have a one-day event. I run Podcast Dallas too. Mm-hmm. That's the meetup group here in Dallas, Podcaster Meetup Group. I think maybe we have, I'm guessing 300 members now. We always have 35, 40 people every month.
That's pretty good. Yeah, what do you guys talk about? Get together, podcasts, of course.
We have different speakers. I mean, come in and talk about podcasting.
I have a meetup here in Reno, and it's entrepreneurs. It's too generic. I probably need to start one that. Yeah, I have a WordPress meetup and another.
I go to a WordPress meetup every month, but he has like a 2,000, 3,000 members.
How many people show up?
About 80.
So you got a big city. That's different.
Yeah,
we're 230,000. We got Sparks for 80,000. In the whole county, there's 400,000 people.
Yeah, see, we're in a big city. People come from all over. It's it's different for a meetup group. But our Dallas meetup group this October the 24th, I think, Mitch and I are doing a one-day clinic here where it's different than Jared and Dan's. It's where someone walks in and knows nothing about podcasting, and when they walk out, they have everything done, set up that they need set up, and they know how to do a podcast, and they can do one from beginning to end
in one day.
Yes, for the novice, it starts at like 9:00 and ends at 5, and only 25 people can come.
So you know what? Go ahead.
It's a different thing than what they're doing. Theirs is more for, I think, people who know how to podcast. It's the little added training, where ours is for people who know they need to get in podcasts, but they have no idea where to start.
You know what I'd say now is go buy an ATR 2100. Hook it up to your laptop and put it on to Blab.
Yeah.
And then from Blab, go to Libsyn. Rob Welch has got that nice little book he gives away.
Yeah, no, that's a nice mic. I have that mic that's the mic I carry in my bag. I mean, with my backpack.
You have one of these? Everyone has one of these, don't they? Do you use it?
I'm using it right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I keep it down here because it's small and I can keep it in the drawer behind me.
You have good sound. I think this Blab actually has some kind of sound modulation system too, because it's great sound.
Yeah, upstairs now I have a condenser mic and a compressor and a mixer and an external sound card, and I have a whole thing up there. But here I just pull this out when I'm sitting in the kitchen. I usually sit in the kitchen, and I've never had anyone complain about my sound, to be honest with you.
So you gave away all the secrets.
Yeah.
So we got through one, work hard all the time. Number 2 is don't quit.
Well, yeah, I think too many people quit too soon. I bootstrap everything I've done, ever since I've started. I mean, when I first started business, I think we spent $24, and now I do 7-figure business, and I've never borrowed a penny. So I think some people, maybe they have to quit because they actually are putting too much money into it. But I think you can quit too soon is the reason I say don't quit. And I go from experience. One time while we were in the wallpaper business, and we were only in the wallpaper business, I was between 2 huge competitors that did all the home builders. One side, mile down the street, he did half the home builders. Down the other way, 3 miles, was another wallpaper place, and he did the other half of the home builders. And I was humping to get any business going, to get any home builder in there, and they didn't do anything. They just showed up at their door. And I told my wife, I said, man, this has been hard to do. We're just barely making it. And we've been doing it a while now. This is before we even probably got on the net. This is probably 86, 87. And I said, I'm thinking maybe we should quit and I should go back to work for somebody. And she goes, nah, we can't do that. You can't work for anyone. You'll be doing something else trying to start a business. Let's hang out for a while. And I promise you, within 2 months, the guy to the right, a mile away, went out of business. I bought all his content for pennies on the dollar. And within a year, the other guy went out of business, and I didn't buy his content. But then I started buying tons of stores' contents. They were going out of business everywhere. They were all got out of business because Home Depot got into business and was selling that stuff dirt cheap. So I was buying out wallpaper stores right and left for pennies on the dollar. And when you're buying something for a dime and selling it for $20, so we made it through that rough time just because I was buying all my competitors as they went out. But it's funny, I was wanting to quit, and here I would have been so upset if I'd closed the store, and 3 months later, my competitor went out of business. So that's why.
And you don't know that.
No, you don't. But
luck is when opportunity meets.
Hang as long as you can. I mean, don't give up too soon. That's why I say don't quit. I mean, there comes a point if you're putting in tons of cash where I guess you run out of cash and you have to. But like I said, since I've bootstrapped everything I've ever done, I don't see that part of it. But I think you can quit too soon. And if you just stuck it out a little longer, you could have crossed that hump.
I think that's real good advice, not just to don't quit, but actually the bootstrapping concept is good. A side hustle, work up slowly.
Yeah.
I was in design,
putting everything back into it.
Yeah, I saved up about $350,000 and started a design build construction company. To run a company like that, you got to have $1 million in cash.
Yeah, well, that's a different type of business.
It's but I'll tell you what, I like designing and building stuff, but I'll tell you what, when I look back, I think I would find a business where I could bootstrap.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go personally, if you can.
It's, I think you have a better chance overall you have to have that ability for staying power and keeping on and working.
Not every business can you do that. You certainly couldn't open a dental office.
No.
Bootstrapping.
I design build. We design stuff. We had engineering, design, CAD machines that cost a small fortune, computers that cost a small fortune in the 90s.
Yeah, now we're building softballwebsites.com.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we're going to design websites for other people because we're already doing it for friends.
And you're doing a lot of that work yourself, you said.
Yeah, I have over 20, and then I'm doing it for friends. So people for years have asked me, hey, where do I go to get a website built? And I said, I should just start doing that, because we're going to host them on our server. Because that's, to me, where the money's at, is hosting. Once you build a website, not only are you getting paid to do that, then you're hosting them. And then we're just going to build WordPress sites. So we use WP Manage. So, when a new update comes out, I got to press one button to update 10 websites or 50. I mean, it's no difference.
I've been told that's the way to go. I have a little course I help people. I teach people how to design websites through Genesis Dynamic. But I'm finding more and more people really want somebody else to do the work for them.
I think they do. I think we'll find people that'll want us to do their podcast editing for them. It's not that hard, but some people don't. It's just a matter of whether you know how to do it or not. I don't think it's hard for a mechanic to put new spark plugs in my car, but I sure take it to someone else to get him to work on. I probably don't even have spark plugs for all I damn know. I mean,
I bet once upon a time you worked on your own cars.
I did when I was a young kid.
Yeah.
But I've never been a guy that likes to do manual work. I used to pay another kid to cut my grass when I was a kid because my parents paid me $5 and I could pay him $3.
So I was going to ask you, say you work all the time. What'd you do this weekend? We had a 3-day weekend. What'd you do? You go out and do yard work?
I worked the entire weekend, as a matter of fact. The store, we opened yesterday, and we had a great day. I knew we would. Sunday, I went up to the store because it was closed, and I know no one would be there, and worked most of the day. Yeah. And I think Saturday night I was on Blab till like 1.
I know. I see. So I hung out. Saturday night was the night I went out and Blab. It's amazing watching people on Blab. It's addicting.
Yeah. I got in here, started talking to someone. I think we talked 2 or 3 hours, and she was like on the East Coast time. I finally said, "I got to go to bed." She goes, "Yeah, I should have been to bed hours ago." So
it's crazy.
So my wife was out of town, and I ended up. She was giving me a hard time today. I said, "I didn't think I went out the house Saturday. I just sat here and worked all day." I like what I do. I like what I do. That's the secret. I always tell people, because funny, when I started my first website, all my friends were like, "I want to start a website. What should I do a website about?" And when I started my first podcast, tons of people, my friends go, "I want to do a podcast. What should I do one about?" And it was the same answer every time was, "I recommend you do it about something you like a lot or something you love," because to me, I don't care what you do. After you do it 5 to 10 years, it becomes work. Mm-hmm. It's no longer your passion to do it. It's damn a job. And if you love it when you start, you'll probably still like it in 5 or 10 years. But if you don't even like it when you start, you're probably going to hate it in 5 or 10 years. So I tell people, that's just my recommendation. I've always done things I liked a lot,
So how'd you get into softball, women's softball?
I had 2 kids that played softball.
Okay.
We were state champions of Texas at 14 under and at 15 under. Came in like 3rd place and 4th place, I think, back-to-back in World Series. So we were pretty good. And like I said, when you're successful at that, other people want to play with get involved with you. So I started a softball association in Arlington here. And I think we had 4 or 5 teams at one time.
Wow.
And under my umbrella, because people wanted to play under my umbrella because I was successful. I had tryouts after winning state for the next year. And I think I had I always felt like I could always improve my team by 1 player a year. There was going to be someone better than what I had. I wasn't like, "Oh, you guys will play here as long as you want to." When the season was over, they all had to turn in their uniforms and all their equipment, and we had tryouts, and then they might make it and they might not. And they all knew that being on our team, and every year we pretty much lost 1 or 2 people because we were able to improve the team by. But the next year after winning state, I think for 1 or 2 spots, the most that would have come open, we had like 100 kids try out. So if you're successful, people want to get on that bandwagon and be involved with you.
That's true. That's why you see the very top podcasters, I think. That's why they get so many followers and downloads.
Yeah, I agree.
Success breeds success.
People want to be with a winner, and they want to be part of that. And I don't care what you're in, whether it's podcasting or whether it's softball. People want to be with a winner.
You're niche down. How do your softball podcasts do? Do they get good numbers?
I don't know. I don't look at my numbers at all. I have no idea. I haven't looked at my numbers in years. I have no idea. I've never looked at my Gary Leland show numbers. I have no idea. Matter of fact, whenever I speak somewhere, the first thing I say is, "I have no stats, so don't ask me because I don't look at them at all."
The best stat is how much money's coming in the door.
Well, I look at coupon codes.
Yeah,
because my advertising is coupon codes. I have one FPT 30 for $30 off a bat, and I have one FPTV 10 for another website that's 10% off anything on the website. So I look at that. As long as I'm getting several of those every day, I know that my stuff's working. A bat's $300 to $400. So I can give $30 off a bat and not, really get hurt too bad.
Right. High dollar item. Wow.
Yeah, I'm high. My store is not, Academy Sports. The people from Academy and Dick's send people to my store because I'm like the high end stuff. Maybe Academy or Dick's will get half a dozen of the kind of bats that I have at the beginning of the season where I have them all year long.
Right.
I have $500 gloves. For fielding gloves. If you're a kid starting, your parents aren't coming to my store. And I don't want to compete in that business. That's not my business, that beginner's business. You don't come to my store if you're a recreational player. You're a serious, my kind of kid might buy 2 bats a year at $400.
Yeah. My girls are in gymnastics, like 13, 15.
Mm-hmm.
They've been in since 3 and 5. Very expensive sport.
It is an expensive sport.
Wonder if there's a way to make money in that sport.
There is. There's a way to make money in every sport. Sports,
sport.
especially gymnastics would be a way. That has money. That's kind of like volleyball. That really has money. Softball is the poorest sport there is. You have more single moms in softball than probably any other sport. This is something I noticed from having my kids. I think when kids are playing sports, I'm going to say girls are playing sports, and there gets to be a time period when they get really pretty good and they have to start deciding which way they're going to go in their sports. Because in a major high school, for instance, in Dallas-Fort Worth, you can't play every sport and then start at anything in high school because you're not going to be good enough.
You're in a sports town.
Yeah, my kids took batting lessons every week, from a Major League Baseball player. So of course, as a freshman in high school, they made varsity. But the parents who don't have the kind of money, they have to start looking at sports. Now, softball is a sport where, you play on a field, practice on a field, doesn't cost anything. You don't have to have a $400 bat. You can borrow a teammate's bat, and you can use the same glove pretty much your whole life. Where volleyball, you got to rent a gymnasium. Most of the coaches are paid. You got might not have a lot of equipment, but just renting a gymnasium just for practice. Not even talking about playing, just for practice makes that an expensive sport. Same thing for basketball. Same thing for gymnastics. You got to have a building to rent.
I could tell you about the cost in gymnastics. We've got my daughters have top-notch coaches, Russian, Olympians, Europeans, Leos, and then my 12-year-old is rated at level 7 at 12. She's 13 now. Her birthday's perfect. It's May 26th. They start their regionals 1st of May. So she was rated number 1 in bars and number 3 overall in the West. But to be at that level, it gets very expensive.
Yeah. And as I said, you got parents that have money. You don't have poor people. You don't have a lot of single moms in gymnastics.
Not in gymnastics.
No, you don't. They just don't have the money. So they have to go with the sport. So when they're making that crossroads, they're probably going to go, you like basketball and you like softball? Yeah. We're going to stick with the softball. Yeah.
Every once in a while, you'll see somebody, but the family has a little bit of money, but they use all their money in that gymnastics. Yeah. They're not rich, but they've really put a lot behind their kids, and they go a long ways. Well, Gary, the next, just start.
Now, that's the thing. That too many people plan too long is why I say that. Everybody starts, but I see people planning a year, and then they still aren't sure. I just do it. I could decide tomorrow that I want to do something. Like last week, I decided I wanted to do softballwebsites.com. I just say, hey, we should do a website there. What domain do I have that'll work? Because we're going to go after the softball market. Leagues, clubs, coaches. And so I said, softball websites. Let's use that website. But yeah, I don't spend a lot of time thinking about stuff. I've had a lot of failures, but I've had way more failures than I've had successes. But on a podcast, for instance, just as an example, a lot of people plan forever. They want to make sure they got all the stuff right. They got the intro right. I don't care how much you plan a year from now. That show's going to sound or look terrible. It's going to be terrible when you see it after you've done it for a year. So my big thing is just do it and start improving the show, because you can't start improving it until you start. I can't care how much planning you do. You're not going to start improving it until you start doing it. And they're all going to look bad a year later. So that's why I say just start.
We're using Blab right now, and you and I are both sold on Blab. At least we think there's something there. But we know there's other ways we could record this to get a little higher, HD and sound. But we're just getting it out there, and it'll work fine. It's fine.
Yeah, and I think this audio is fine. I don't think if you got a guy who's that big of an audio snob, whoopie-doo. Go listen to another show, I guess.
Have you talked to Cliff about Blab yet? I guess you have. Cliff Ravenkirk.
I just texted him the other day and said, "Hey, Cliff, we're going to bring back Today in Podcasting. Dave Jackson can't make it. You want in?" And he said, "Yeah, I'll do it."
I wonder what he'll have to say.
Yeah. Well, it's like Rogan said he wasn't impressed with him, but I sure saw him the other day doing an interview on here with somebody.
I think they'll all be over here.
Impressed with it. So I don't think I don't think a lot of people see it right away, but I think after they get on here and they think about it, they're going, "Hey, this is pretty cool." Because I mean, it's just like using Skype, except we can see each other. And the beautiful thing about here, when you do have a big crowd, if you have a show and you got like 25 people, the questions that come out of the people here on the right, sometimes they're questions you might not have thought of. So it's like having this great chat room working with you going, "Hey, ask him this." You go, "Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, I need to ask him that." So yeah, this is a great tool.
I'm going to work on my name because it's all on names, as you know, working on the name for these podcasts for when you put it up, the show. Right. Because people will see that name and that's how they'll come up. It's interesting to see who comes up and who doesn't come up because I think that's how you test it. I tested one of my podcasts by putting it up on YouTube first. I got feedback from a lot of key people in podcasting. So that really helped instead of wasting a lot of time. I think you can do the same thing here. So going on, just start your last one, listen.
Yeah, well, and I say that because one time I was in an event in Chicago for a wallpaper event, and someone said something that I didn't understand how that word applied. And so I said, what does that mean? Because I was listening. And because I asked that, I've probably made $1 million in my life just because I asked, what does that mean? So you really need to listen. People give you a lot of information, but some people spend too much time talking that they can't hear the information or they don't pay any attention to what people are saying. So that's why I say listen, because usually the things I said pretty much have all applied to me somewhere in my life. And in that one, that really made a difference. I'm not saying I made $1 million of that next week, but over the last 30 years, from when I found that out, or the last 25 years, I've easily made $1 million, from just asking, what does that word mean in this situation? So that's why I say listen to people. Okay. People will give you all the information you need.
Well, I opened it up for questions, and I've got to get this down, how to get people to come online on these podcasts, because we're recording a podcast here, and ask questions. So that's the next trick, is to get people into the studio.
Yeah, I've been putting hashtags and @ marks and using people's, like if you look in my bio and see my shows next week, for instance, I have Colligan for Paul Colligan, whatever Cliff's is, whatever, Podcast 411 for Rob. So I'm putting ats up there. And then if I use the word podcast, I put a hash mark in front of it, and I do that in my titles. So hoping those when they hit Twitter that way, it's increasing the audience that it's going to.
Hopefully we'll figure that out, start doing ats. And this is definitely the way to record. So your show will probably be up in the next couple of weeks.
Send me a link with it.
I do have some reserve.
Send me a link.
Oh, for sure.
I'll post it on the Gary Leland site.
Very good, Gary. Well, it looks like no one's coming up to ask any questions right now. Are you going to hang out and do some other
probably not tonight. Like I said, I just did this because we happened to chat today. I didn't have this planned at all. So yeah, I wanted
to do this. I wanted to see if I could go up and get some people on podcasts. Look, we've got some people coming on right now.
Yeah, we have a few people.
So anybody out there has any questions for Gary Leland and myself on podcasting? We just actually created a podcast. So if you want to come up and ask a question, you'll be on the end of the podcast, or if you want to text a question. Driving on, how much do you sleep?
Well, I sleep pretty good. I go to bed at about 11 and get up at about 6. So what's that? 7 hours?
That's good. 7 hours.
I sleep. I have no problem sleeping. Like I said, just while I'm awake, I'm always doing something though. I mean, like I said, I talk to too many people who say their time's too valuable to work when they're actually doing nothing with their time. So if you're sitting there eating popcorn, watching TV, then your time's really not that valuable. You have lots of free time that you could, be doing something to make money.
So in closing, before we can contact you, what do you do when you have your off time other than work? You can't say work. You got to do something.
Usually I'm going to like,
you like to go watch
to
softball.
be honest with you. Well, my wife and I go to a movie every Friday night.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so we go to a lot of movies. I don't know why. And we'll go out to dinner and a movie on Friday nights. And then usually, though, I'm going to a meetup. There are a lot of meetups here with this big town. So I usually go to a meetup once a week or twice a week, with my free time. I just like networking. I don't know that I necessarily learn that much every time at the meetup. I usually know what they're talking about, but the networking, it's kind of like going to a convention. I never go listen to the speakers. I'm always in the hallway networking. I think I'll learn more out there than I do listening to the speakers. So that's like, I didn't see anyone speak at Podcast Movement, at all. I guess I'll watch the videos since I do get those. Yeah.
Did you go to MMX?
I spoke at MMX.
You spoke, okay. I only went to one. I went to Rob Welch's. I think that's the only one I went to. I did the same thing. I just hung out. I missed the keynote speaker, one of them.
I never see the keynotes. I've been 2 years in a row and I haven't seen the keynotes. I don't go to sessions at all. I just hang out and talk.
I saw Pat Flynn. I saw Rob Welch.
I have to take it back. I saw Pat Flynn come up in this. I do have to admit that. He came up in that. Someone told me I really needed to see it. I guess they knew what was coming up. And I watched the first half of his and I left.
Back to the Future.
Yeah. And that was pretty cool. I have to admit that was pretty cool.
Yeah. He's done real well.
He has done well.
He's done extremely well.
He has done well. He's done real well, as a matter of fact. Him and, I like John Lee Dumas, but, they're doing well. It's not their show as much as what they sell on their show that's doing them well.
Yeah. When are you going to see, you know what? After we talked today, I looked up John Lee Dumas' last income report. He made, he brought in about 300,000. He made about 200,000. He spent, he actually spent about 100,000 in just expenses. That's really high. Some of those were refunds, a lot of refunds, but he spent a lot of, it looks like Facebook advertising, some other things. And the other thing too, is he actually has pretty good revenue from both his affiliate accounts and his podcasting commercials.
Yeah, I've never looked at it
from his commercials.
So I just assumed that the biggest hunk would be his courses or podcaster paradises or things like that. Because that seems to be where most people are.
Yeah, I saw Webinar. Yeah, Webinar and Fire. He only made about 10,000. That's one of the courses, and I didn't see I can't remember Podcaster's Paradise. That used to be his big one. Hey, do you think Cliff Ravencraft has been hurt by all the folks with the podcasting courses?
Well,
he was really
I would
the first
think
one to.
He was one of the first ones to do it, I guess, and I would think maybe he has, but I think he's gone up on his prices, and he just did one. He just did one that seemed to because the last time I heard him talking that he had at least half of it sold. So,
and he trained a lot of the top people.
He has his resume of people who he can say he worked with. I mean, I like Cliff a lot. I think he's really a sincerely nice guy. Just seems like a lot of money to me for a course, personally. But each their own, and everything's relative. For instance, to where something may seem expensive to me, well, I know the information already, so it seems expensive to me. But someone who doesn't have the information and has the budget, I mean, that's the real thing about stuff, whether it's expensive or not. There are people who buy, $500,000 cars. It's nothing to them. I mean, everything's relative to how much you make. It's all relative. Yeah, maybe that's expensive to me, but there might be, I'm sure that everybody on there thought it was a good deal. So, I mean, it's just relative. Yeah, it is.
It's all relative.
Status.
Well, how can we? Sportsjunkie.com. That's on your line right here. Sports Junk. That's
the site I put up because that has. If you go to that site, you can't buy anything there, but that shows you everything I do. Shows you all my books, shows you all my websites, shows you all my apps, shows you all my podcasts, all my video shows, my stores. I mean, everything I do is on that page. So you can't buy anything there, but you can see what I do.
So where do you want people to go to find you?
Sportsjunk.com, Ron. They can see my blog from there and go to my blog if they want to. It's kind of like a navigational site.
Yeah.
You know, people always say, "What do you do?" And now it's just easier to send them to a place that has everything I do on it.
I think that's the way to do it. Just give them one site like mine's. I think I'm going to default to podcastershome.com. I don't know why. It's just an easy name. It's longer timelines of all my other sites are long and complicated. And I even have a site. My main site was Bottom Line Up Front, bluff.tv. Terrible name.
Well, those TVs.
Well, thank you,
Gary. The problem
Gary.
with the TV names is a lot of people still don't understand that TLD. And they'll go TV.com, you know, because I have fastpitch.tv. And I'm people all the time going, "There's a fastpitchtv.com." And I go, "No com, just fastpitch.tv." Okay, so I don't dial, and then they still go, "I don't type in the com."
I bought BLUFF.TV.com and point them at
I wanted to get
TV, but that's not my main site.
I guess my show was too successful by the time I thought of it. Someone else bought it already.
Oh, someone else got it.
It was too successful. So
you just point it.
So, and I just couldn't give him $5,000 for it. So, yeah.
Well, thanks, Gary. I'm going to stay on for a second. We'll sign off. So thanks for coming on. I just hit the left side. I think this is so easy. This is just so easy. Still there, Gary?
Yeah.
It's so easy. I mean, we're done. We're not recording anything. We went a little long, but
I was waiting for you.
We're off. It's so easy to record stuff on this thing.
Yeah. This is great. It'll be delivered to you. Yeah.
You know, the other thing too is when we see Pat Flynn and John Lee Dumas on here, we beat them.
No.
We think about that. We beat them to the platform.
I had, Jamie Tardy.
Yeah. She's on the platform.
I saw her the other day.
I watched her that night.
Gary Leland's the one that told me about this. Because I messaged her.
You should have left that on. I should have recorded that.
Said, "I want to have you on my blab," and she was on there. I said, "Hey, let's go." They brought me on the show they were doing. She goes, "This is the guy that told me about blab." So
I saw you on Dave Jackson's show in the morning, but see, Dave wasn't really talking about it. You were talking about it. Said, "This thing's great." You came on.
I think he sold on it. Maybe he's not, but
we talked about this earlier at Wells.
Like not opening up their seats to let people in. I mean, they don't really have the concept of it, Yeah, you
Rob Wells.
Open it up, let people come in, and there's no reason you have to do one. I mean, but they're not opening two. I mean, they're like wanting to control it too much.
Can you open another seat? I guess you can once somebody
once
comes in.
Once this one's taken, another one opens. Or you can lock the other one and just have one at a time. You'll notice they have one at a time. They're like, we're going slow here. We don't know if we can handle two people. I like both of them. Don't get me wrong. I'm not giving them a hard time, which I may be, but it's meant in fun.
How far do you think these guys are from going to figure out some kind of? Well, they have an RSS feed already. How come they can't get this over on I guess it's a streaming. I'm trying to think.
If they do a show almost every other day, telling what their plans are. What they're working.
I have to watch it.
Yeah. I guess I watched it earlier today.
Is that one female?
No, it's Sean, who is one of the owners.
Oh, Sean, the wealthy guy. I think.
Yeah, they're getting ready to I wanted to name softball instead of fast pitch instead of my Twitter handle, and then from what I understand from talking today, you email them and they'll try to decide if you're trying to spam and hold sites or if you really deserve it. And
so what site? So what do you buy a site? What's the site deal on it?
I want my URL for Blab to be blab.im/softball.
Okay.
Not blab.im/fastpitchtv. I like to have I like that word softball. I think that's a better word to have than the name of my show because people will search, softball and they'll find me because so many search things pull a lot of relevancy out of the domain. It's like in YouTube, I have softball, youtube.com/softball. Oh, and you're gone, but you'll be back and I'll approve. There you go. There he is. I could just kidnap his show here, but I'll let him back in.
Wait a second.
Well, Bill, I have approved you to come back in.
Wait a second. Stupid.
So I don't know what the issue is here. There you are. Oops. Nope, you're gone. And you're back. Try again. I have approved you again. Here you come.
I'm having conflict.
Bill, I'm going to go because I think we're about wrapped up and you're having trouble getting in here.
go and unplug. I've got a 920. I had to unplug it. And this is a conflict that's coming off of that crazy cam twist.
Oh. Yeah, I haven't had any problems. Oh, cam twist. Yeah, that thing sucked. I couldn't get that.
You have
cam twist is what I'm using. I'm thinking of Manicast. I couldn't get that.
No. Cam twist. See what it just did? It screws up my. I have to unplug my USB. It did something to my. I got an iMac. What are you using, the PC?
No, I'm using a MacBook Pro.
MacBook Pro. I've got it. Yeah. Mine. I just cannot. Maybe if I take the cam twist out and reload it, and start over.
Yeah, if I had a PC, I would have stuck with Manicam.
There's no instructions for cam twist, is there?
I didn't see any. Like I said, I just saw that guy saying he'd walk me through it.
That guy was pretty good. He put out a lot of information.
He even helped me set it up so it auto starts because, I'm on here all the time, so it automatically opens when I start. Yeah, I got it down now, but I don't have to set it.
How do you auto start it?
Huh?
Remember? On cam twist, how do you auto start it?
How do I what?
Auto start cam twist.
I just double click on the icon. I have it in my dock at the bottom. I just double click on it, it opens, and you go, and then you choose webcam, and then you go over to effects and choose whatever effects you want to use. And I always use solid color and text. And then
Hey, talk me through it real fast. 2 seconds. So you hit, it's open right now.
You choose webcam, or whatever camera you're going to use should be in the video sources.
Okay. I've got 2 of them on there. I don't know why.
You choose whichever one you're going to use.
I've got 2 cam twists, but you can't tell which one is which webcam.
Well, that shouldn't be in your source, and you select the video source.
Oh, select a video.
Video source is going to be like webcam or desktop or.
Are you talking about the pull down from the camera on top?
You got cam twist open?
Yeah.
Okay, go to view.
Okay, it's open.
Go to view.
Wait a second, let me hit it. Okay, view.
And go to studio.
Studio. Okay, I'm there. And then it's 2 blank pages.
Now go to view and go to preview.
Okay, it says preview, so I'm going to go up to view and hit preview.
Yep. So you should have to.
Okay, now you're teaching me.
And then go to go back to the not the preview, but the other one. And your first step 1 is choose a video source. Okay,
so I'm going back to view and going to studio.
Yeah, well, studio should still be open.
Yeah, it is. So where do I go? What do I do now?
In studio, you step 1. You see step 1, the first column. Choose a webcam.
It says new button.
It says what?
No, all I have is cam studio twist studio up. It's preview and program, and then it's got two buttons. New button.
No, it's not preview and program. It's studio.
So you can delete the
studio
buttons.
And preview.
Wait a second. Go to view again, right?
Yeah, go to cam twist, go to view, go to studio.
Okay, I'm there, but I'm not getting that list. I'm just getting the cam twist studio with 2 views on it, and then 2 different windows.
A little thing should come up that you can use to. You pick your your video source. In step 2, you choose your effects. My effect here I use is a solid color strip and words. 2 effects. And then that's all you
remember
do.
that.
But I don't know why
you
got to have the studio's got to come up. You can't do anything without the studio. And the studio has 4, just so you know when you see it, it has 4 columns of tools.
You know what studio has for me? I'm going to clear this. That doesn't clear. It's got a preview and a program, and then I got preview over here.
Yeah, that's not the studio.
So it doesn't give me those 4. It doesn't give me the 4 columns.
Yeah, that's not a studio. I don't know what it is.
But it says Cam Twist Studio.
Yeah, well, I tell you, the studio it's where you pick your source, video source, you add your effects, you adjust your effects, and the settings. Yeah.
I think tools, users, set, windows, help, edit. Edit, you said you go to edit, file, edit, view. View is the 3 choices. Main window. Maybe it's main window. Main window is where that Cam Twist Studio is. Reset your settings.
Yep.
I see a little bit more now. I got all these things open, and you can make these little buttons down below. And I bet if you delete a button, it'll take away. See if I can delete a button.
I don't know about all that.
Dissolve.
Yeah, I haven't ever seen any of that. Well, I'm going to bed, Bill.
I wish you could see it. Well, I appreciate it, Gary, very much. I think you got me going the right direction on this Cam Twist.
Cool. Hey, I enjoyed
And
it.
good luck. I'll try to 2 o'clock. Have a good one. Good luck on your future endeavors. If you get out to Reno, let me buy you
Sounds
breakfast.
good. I will. I'll remember that. Believe me. Thanks, Bill. Have
Take
a good
care.
day.